In an unprecedented move that has captured the attention of both political and automotive worlds, President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead the newly established Department of Government Efficiency. This bold chess move in the realm of policymaking aims to streamline government operations and remove literally trillions of dollars of debt from the deficit. Yet it has already sparked a fiery pushback, with Senator Elizabeth Warren casting a critical eye on the intertwining of business tycoons with government roles. As the narrative unfolds, expect government bureaucrats to continue to melt down even further as Elon Musk and Vivek take a chainsaw to long-standing government regulations. However, the implications of this decision stretch far beyond mere administrative efficiency, touching upon the future of transportation, particularly the electric and hybrid vehicle sector, which now stand at a pivotal crossroads shaped by policy, innovation, and controversy. As one of his first moves, President Trump plans to kill the $7,500 EV tax credit, which was part of the Inflation Reduction Act, a measure that created hundreds of billions of newly minted US dollars, which in turn actually increased inflation. As Elon Musk points out somewhat jokingly, but at the same time completely serious, is that any piece of legislation will do the opposite of its name. This applies perfectly to the IRA, as any time the government prints excess money, it adds to inflation, making all goods cost more dollars. And Elon Musk has been very much against the Inflation Reduction Act, originally recommending against passing it, even though it would benefit Tesla. While Elon Musk was very publicly highly opposed to the bill, while even being one of the largest beneficiaries, if the government is going to pass it anyway, it's still Tesla and Tesla's management's duty to do what's best for shareholders and try to get these newly available tax credits for the company and its customers. But even from the get-go, the Inflation Reduction Act was a lengthy and confusing piece of legislation where the rules weren't clear and kept on changing, which is an absolute nightmare for any car company with a massive supply chain that simply can't change overnight or even over a few months' time. Tesla bent over backwards to make these new credits available for US customers, shuffling supply chains around, modifying pricing, and starting new projects. This translated into consumer confusion, trying to figure out if they would qualify, which vehicles qualify and for how much, etc. Tesla scaled back its US exports and started shipping cars even to Canada, all the way from China. Also consider that Tesla still has massive plans on the table, which are on hold right now, to build a multi-billion-dollar Gigafactory in Mexico. It obviously took a lot of time and consideration even to come up with the plans for this, which was set to begin construction within months of being announced. Tesla needed to speak with government officials, they had to locate a site, and may have already purchased some land. This was no easy undertaking, and certainly not inexpensive. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, a factory in Mexico is perfectly acceptable and encouraged. In order to qualify for the credits, Mexico counts for the IRA's final assembly of vehicles, battery components that must be produced in North America, including Mexico, and critical materials which must be sourced or processed in the US or a country that the US has a free trade agreement with, also Mexico. So building a Mexico Gigafactory makes a lot of sense under the Biden administration to take advantage of the EV tax credits for years to come. However, this shifts jobs that may have potentially gone to the United States into Mexico. Tesla was actually supposed to develop their next generation vehicle at Giga Mexico, but instead decided to build it at Giga Texas. Now, the United States has hefty mandates for EVs. The targets keep changing, but earlier this year, it was 67% of new vehicles must be EVs by 2032. The Biden administration doesn't care where the EVs come from, but Trump seems to care. And that's because the US automakers aren't the only ones who would be trying to capture Biden's IRA EV tax credits. Chinese auto companies already have a major presence in Mexico and plan to continue scaling it. It's estimated that 1 in 4 cars sold in Mexico are made in China today, with many Chinese companies already owning plants within Mexico. And so the Inflation Reduction Act has glaring side effects, such as exporting jobs out of the United States, bringing in Chinese electric vehicles into the country, and all while taxing the American people through the nose with the hidden cost of inflation. What's remarkable, actually, is that someone at Tesla, possibly Elon Musk, was forward-thinking enough to put the multi-billion-dollar Mexico Gigafactory project on hold, at least to wait and see. In hindsight, this was a brilliant move. Tesla can still decide to move forward with it, but it makes a lot less sense now. Under President Trump, it looks like the EV tax credits will disappear, which removes a major incentive from building this plant in Mexico, not to mention that he plans to boost tariffs on electric cars coming into the country from Mexico, which would likely be Chinese cars, and Tesla would get hit if they were importing cars as well, causing even more of a mess. One thing that companies love, and the stock market loves this as well, is certainty, even if it's a negative thing. The Inflation Reduction Act, with regards to these tax credits, has caused excess regulations and paperwork, supply chain shifts, confusion for employees, customers, and other stakeholders, projects to be started and canceled or put on hold. The rules have been all over the place. On the other hand, deleting all of it under Trump's administration, even though it's technically bad for Tesla, at least adds certainty so that companies and management can make proper long-term decisions. Building cars becomes simpler, and customers aren't swamped with too many choices, extra paperwork, and unnecessary confusion. Imagine Tesla had started building a $10 billion factory in Mexico only to be hit by tariffs later as the US tries to stop Chinese cars from coming over the border. This is one major reason why Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were put in charge of the new Department of Government Efficiency, to remove dumb laws, especially those that have unintended, or perhaps even scarier, intentional side effects. Senator Elizabeth Warren has already thrown some shade at Elon Musk and Vivek for having split leadership, picking on the minute detail that there are two people that can do the work of one. Yeah, this seems really efficient, she says. Well, Elon Musk fired back with a scathing remark saying that, unlike you, neither of us are being paid, so it is very efficient indeed. Contrary to what Senator Karen believes, the Department of Government Efficiency will require a team of people in order to help execute on the cost-cutting efforts, and Elon's reply does hint that she may be part of the inefficiency problem. Of course, Elizabeth Warren has contributed to slowing Tesla down at every opportunity, even recently calling for the SEC to investigate Tesla over Elon Musk's decision to swap GPU delivery schedules with xAI, another one of his companies, which actually saved Tesla money by not having to put the graphics cards into a warehouse for an extended period of time while the new Cortex data center was being built. And since when does Pocahontas care about Tesla shareholders? There are tens of baseless, politically motivated lawsuits that have been in the past few years erupted against Elon Musk in an attempt to damage his companies, his shareholders and supporters, his net worth, and to slow him down. These likely all disappear under Trump, which will be a positive for Tesla. Now, it's interesting also that RBC Capital believes that ending the EV tax credits will be a net negative for Tesla. However, they note that on Tesla's Q3 conference call, management said that they believe it will be a net positive as Tesla has a cost advantage over other EV makers. But RBC Capital believes that while true, Tesla's true competition is the ICE vehicles, which makes sense, and the IRA credits are more important to re-accelerate EV demand, which has stalled in recent months. This is a strange thing for them to say. Why would the Inflation Reduction Act's tax credits suddenly help to re-accelerate electric car sales? The credits have been here the entire time. They haven't gone anywhere. Despite throwing billions, hundreds of billions of dollars into supposedly EV-related projects, the IRA doesn't really have much to show for. It's EV winter in the United States with the credits, so keeping them around isn't going to change anything. Perhaps they've counterintuitively done more harm than good. If Trump gets rid of the IRA spending and the EV tax credits on day one like he says, what will be the impact? while Tesla's US-made Model 3 and Model Y will be hit the hardest, losing their $7,500 credit, although it's only a fraction of their overall sales, and not everyone gets the credit, especially if they're above the income thresholds. General Motors will lose the full credit on at least 4 of their most popular models. Honda and Volkswagen will lose the credit, and VW isn't doing well in the US EV market already, as we highlighted 2 videos ago. And Rivian loses the $3,700 credit, which might not be good for them, as they're already struggling to get to profitability. But for some reason, there's just as many plug-in hybrids that will lose the credit as EVs. Somehow, the Chrysler Pacifica has been getting $7,500. Ford, Jeep, Audi, their hybrids are about to get more expensive. Now, this is very significant because RBC Capital just said that Tesla's real competition is the ICE vehicles, not the other EVs. But the ICE vehicles have been getting the tax credits. A plug-in hybrid is just a slightly more efficient gas-powered car. Many published reports have shown that it's not as green and clean as everyone makes them out to be, and they still ship with an internal combustion engine and a small battery pack, and the combustion engine is used more often than not in the real world. People like it because they think that they have the range and efficiency, but that's not really the case. The long range of a plug-in hybrid is all gas-powered, which means you still pay the exorbitant prices at the pump. A full battery electric vehicle might have less range, but that range is more valuable as it costs a fraction of the price compared to filling it up with gas. Nonetheless, these plug-in hybrids have tiny batteries, and in order to qualify for the EV tax credit, they just need to be more than 7 kilowatt hours in size. By comparison, the Model 3 and Model Y have batteries that are over 10 times larger, and so the IRA has been subsidizing gas cars this entire time. It's no wonder there's EV winter and automakers are pulling back on EV projects, and lo and behold, they're moving into hybrids. US automakers race to build more hybrids as EV sales slow. Could it be because the automakers know how to make gas engines pretty well, and they don't need that many batteries to deliver a hybrid, which they're actually profitable on? They lose money on EVs, and not only that, but the hybrids are being subsidized. So maybe it's the other way around. EV sales are slowing as the US automakers realize they can get free taxpayer money and be highly profitable by making more hybrids. Now, what's the purpose of a tax credit in the first place? It's supposed to incentivize innovation by making it financially viable for companies to invest in research, development, and production, in this case, of advanced EV technologies and infrastructure. It's supposed to push people towards adopting new technology that otherwise wouldn't really happen without some push from the government, as they're up against entrenched automakers. It's supposed to incentivize a change in consumer behavior. And in turn, EVs have large benefits over gas cars, including removing tailpipe emissions, improving air quality, long-term savings for customers on fuel, maintenance, etc., and probably more important than it gets credit for, it keeps the US highly competitive on the global stage, especially against China, which dominates in EVs. But pulling back on EVs to make hybrids defeats the purpose. The government and the legacy automakers have now wasted this precious time. And so Trump removing the EV tax credits is yet another wake-up call that the US needs to stop resting on its laurels and start making cheaper, better electric cars before it's too late. And it might be too late now with China knocking on the door. And so the confusion and the complexity of the Inflation Reduction Act has led to some unwanted consequences. With it, along with the bureaucracy and regulations that came with it, out of the way, it will allow Tesla to once again focus on innovating and making EVs cheaper, instead of having to play around with supply chains, etc. As for legacy automakers, they've been dilly-dallying with hybrids and scaling back on EV projects in order to show profitability. In January 2025, they'll be in for a rude awakening when the plug-in hybrid game disappears and they need to make cheap, fully electric cars or die trying. So do you think the legacy automakers will be able to quickly pivot back to their EV projects if and when the tax credits on their EVs and hybrids disappear? Or will they try something else? And how long before Chinese automakers start to sell their cars in bulk within the United States? Don't forget to watch my last video on Tesla's new high-powered supercharger V4 cabinet. Be sure to follow me on X at TMIOTesla. Please hit the like button and subscribe. We would really appreciate that. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons that help to support our channel. Your support helps us to continue to make great content. Thank you guys so much for watching.